Okay, so now we're able to delete our user. We're able to view any logs, and of course in the process we've set it up so we can create logs and we can hook into those using events and listeners. Now we want to actually be able to edit. Now, when it comes to managing users, I don't like to be able to edit, say, the password along with the rest of the details. So basically, we'll set it up so we can either create a new password for them or send out a reset link to them. So in this video, all I'm going to do is take care of creating this edit user form, just like we created the create user form, and get that ready to submit the data. So let's start there. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to just close everything to the right here, clean up our view a little bit, and I'm going to say edit user. Okay. And we'll say basically VIF, first of all, if we have a user to edit, then show it. So if user is not equal to null, we want to bind the user, current user that we're talking about here. And so that one will be user. And we want to listen for little things like, von, view, dashboard, just like we have on the other components. Set active. And we'll say dashboard. Okay, and one other thing we'd probably want to do is von user updated. And in this case, we have the method built out for that already, which would be flash success and reload, so we can reload their new details. And we know that really all we're going to be sending through is a message, so we'll do that as an event in there. We won't create a custom message on the front end here. Now we're going to have to create this component, so let's say import edit user from, and we'll leave it in the same folder, so not there, create user, we'll say edit user.view. Okay, and let's see here. We'll give it our card classes, and then here we'll say let's see here, h3, and this will be edit user. Say small dot text dash muted, and in here we'll have user dot name. Like so. Let's bring that particular prop in to this one. And with that props, we'll say props user, and that will work for now. And then in our data, I'll prepare some of this, but we won't go too far. We'll say return, basically data, and then these are going to be the parameters or fields that we can actually manipulate in here. So being name, for now I'll leave it like that, name, email, and then we want to do role. Okay, these are all going to basically get modified before they are displayed up here in reality. So edit user from, so we'll say edit user.view now. And then the last thing we need to do before we show this is going to be edit user is going to be the component that we need to register. So let's go ahead, we'll give that a refresh in our system here. Oh, one other thing we need to do actually. two things. So we have get user, we have delete user. I'm going to say edit user here. And we have to pass through user. Then we're going to have to this dot user. We need to assign it to this user, just like you saw with the user logs in particular. And we need to add edit user up here in active. Sorry, false. So there's a few things we need to do in here, obviously. And we want to make sure active.editUser returns true in that case. So we'll say this dot set active edit user. Okay, let's see what happens here. See if I missed anything. Yeah, I did miss one thing. Let's go up here to our items. We'll say title first of all equals edit user, and we'll say at click equals edit user. Okay, let's see what happens now in here. Okay, so we came up with some kind of an error. Let's see what we're showing in our console for errors. Cannot read property name of undefined. Edit user, sorry. That needs to go in there. All right. Now edit, and you can see we brought in our component just fine. Let's add our back button in here into the edit user. So we'll say button.btn.outline-primary.btn-small, and let's say i.fas.fa-chevron-left, and we'll put back in there. And then again, we'll go at click equals emit. We'll say view dashboard. Okay, let's give that a quick test, make sure that all worked properly. Okay, it did. The only other thing I want to do here is add some margin to the right so that our button isn't so close to where it says edit user. Okay, great. Now what we can do is we'll put a little horizontal rule in there so that we can break up our content a bit. So HR, and then what we want to do is we'll say form-group.row. We'll say label. We need to add a class in there of column-3. And we'll say name. And we'll do column-9, and then we'll put an input in here of .form-control. But we'll also add v-model is going to equal name, and that works for me. Okay, let's do this again. Group.row. We'll say label.column-3. We'll say email. Column-9. Now we'll do an input with a type equal to email, and that will also be form-control, and v-model will equal email. Sorry, I shouldn't say name and email, it should be data.email. I think I made that mistake with one of the previous forms we made. Okay, form-group. We'll say label.column-3 again, and we're going to say role, and we'll say .column-9, and this is going to be a select with a class of form-control, and we're going to bind that to data.role. Okay. And that works. We'll get rid of name and ID. We don't need to worry about those there. All right, and we'll say option. The first one we'll provide is going to be, we'll have to bind the value. So we do that simply by doing this. And we'll say user. And that's going to be user. And then we'll say admin in here. And then our other option here is going to be to submit that with a button. So button.btn-primary.btn, and then in there we will have update user in there. A couple things we need to do here. One, we need to set a watcher on this. So we need to watch the user that comes in. So every time this changes, then basically this dot data is going to equal this dot user. And that will capture the first one that comes in. And we also want to make sure that this is handled well when things are mounted. So when it's mounted, we want to say this dot user, or this dot data, sorry, equals this dot user. Make sure I did that correctly down here at the bottom. Yep, perfect. Okay, now let's see what happens here with this. Let's see if it shows our data as it properly should. So we'll edit. Perfect, we got that right. We just got a little bit of, we got to handle some of the classes in here for this. So dot column, so I forgot to add a row class to this one. Okay, let's refresh that. Great, so now all we have to do is set up, there's a couple of things we have to do coming up here. One of them is going to be to set up the route to set the updates, to set up a request for updating this, a special request, so that we can validate the data and make sure that only authorized users are actually updating it, and then log out any errors that we receive, and then go back to the dashboard and display the success message if it was in fact successful. So we will do that in the next video.